Hello everybody, welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some savoury biscuits, or cookies, and these are a breakfast type biscuit, but rather than being sweet they're going to be savoury, and they're going to have Marmite in them, which is a yeast extract. Now Marmite is one of those things in the UK which people either love or they hate, but in small amounts it's actually very nice. And the company that make Marmite have started to produce something called Marmite Breakfast, which is a biscuit, and you get 2 in a pack, rather like this. And I guess they expect you to eat them for breakfast. So I've bought those and they're actually very nice, but I've decided that I can make my own and get pretty similar to that, and it's actually very much cheaper. So that's what I'm going to do. They don't take long to make and don't have many ingredients, but they have some seeds in them as well. So the ingredients are 250 grams, which is 2 cups of flour. And for mine, I'm going to use 150 grams of plain flour and 100 grams of wholemeal flour, but you can use just plain if you want to, or whatever you like. Then I have 125 grams of cold butter, which is 1 stick. I'm going to use 50 grams of Marmite, and this is in a squeezy bottle, but you can get it in a jar. You could use Vegemite if that's what you can find, which is an Australian equivalent sort of, or any yeast extract will be okay. Then I have 20 grams of sunflower seeds, 10 grams of poppy seeds, 10 grams of flax seeds which are ground. You could use whole flax seeds, but I had ground, so that's what I'm using. Half a teaspoon of baking soda, and up to 2 teaspoons of milk, 30 millilitres of milk. So what I'm going to do is to make the pastry, and for that I'm going to put, you can do this by hand and just cut the butter in by hand, but it's quicker with this little immersion blender type thing, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to put the flour in and the baking soda, and for my purposes I'm going to put the flaxseed in because it's ground. If it was whole flaxseed I wouldn't put it in at this stage. And then I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix like that, and then I'm going to drop my butter in, and I'm going to process this until it forms sort of just little chunks, breadcrumbs to pea size stage. And that's looking good, I think. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 50 grams of my Marmite. I'm going to weigh this in with my scale. So that's the 50 grams of Marmite, and I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of milk, and I'll hold the rest back for use if I need it. Now I have my oven preheating. At 160 Celsius with the fan, 180 Celsius without the fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I have a couple of baking trays with parchment paper on. So I'm actually just going to cover that a little bit, and I'm going to drop into that my seeds, and I'm going to just blitz this a little bit to get it mixed a little bit, and then I'll do it by hand. I'm going to add the rest of the milk. And I think that's starting to clump. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that out onto my work surface and take my blade out of the way. And then I'm simply going to work that with my hands to make sure I've got it into a dough. That's good. And then I'm going to roll that out to 5mm in thickness, which is just under 1/4 of an inch, and I want it into a rectangle which is about 12 inches, 30 centimetres by 8 inches, which is 20 centimetres. So that's good. Now I ought to put some flour onto this work surface first, I think. And with that rolled out to 12 by 8, I'm going to divide that into 16, which is 4 2-inch strips going down here, and 4 3-inch strips going that way. I have one that's slightly thinner, one strip, it doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a series of holes in each of the cookies. And then we need to transfer those onto the baking sheets. And with our 16 biscuits rolled out, I'm going to put them into the oven. I'm going to bake them for 20 to 25 minutes and then take them out and let them cool down, and they'll be nice and crisp and crunchy with that lovely savoury flavour. The longer you bake them, the harder and more crunchy they will be, and I want mine to be crunchy but that still has that nice tender texture to it. So I'll probably take mine out after 20 minutes. I'll let them cool down, then I'll come back and show you the results. The Marmite breakfast biscuits have baked, and I baked mine for 20 minutes, and I've taken them out of the oven and allowed them to cool down, and this is what they look like. So they're nice and thick, and they should be lovely and crunchy. So I'll have a taste of one. They have that lovely biscuity texture, similar to a digestive biscuit. But of course these have no sugar in, and these are savoury. They have the Marmite. And I do get the hit of Marmite. Now Marmite is very, very strong in flavour, and so a little goes a long way. Some people like to spread it very thinly on toast. I use it for stocks and soups and such like. But in these biscuits, just that little 50 grams gives a lovely flavour. And these are an ideal alternative to those other breakfast biscuits that you can buy that are very, very sweet and sugary. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.